After roughly 80 hours, I finally rolled credits on Red Dead Redemption 2, and even with lots still left to do in that world, it's hard not to look to the future. Rockstar has done some amazing things in their rendition of the Old West, and despite some of its faults, they've set a new bar for themselves as a studio. From its gorgeous environments to the world's interactivity, there are plenty of new ideas and mechanics that would make great additions to the studio's flagship franchise, but there are a few smaller lessons that we think Red Dead's older sibling could benefit from too. Here are 8 things GTA 6 can learn from Red Dead 2. I want to bring this one up first because I find myself coming back to it a lot. Whether it's our own player characters or supporting cast members or even the NPCs littering the world, well-crafted characters that we can invest ourselves in are one of the things that elevate good games to greatness, and Red Dead 2 features one of Rockstar's best casts to date, and the creative team has done a great job of making everyone feel like fully realized people living in this world rather than just CG puppets waiting to tell you to shoot something for the trillionth time. GTA 5's leading men were, for the most part, enjoyable enough to spend the game with, but the only one I ever really felt anything for was Franklin. The other two felt like excuses to crack jokes about Hollywood or consumerism and provide rationale for our more psychotic escapades. Arthur, on the other hand, is easily Rockstar's best-written protagonist, and coupled with a strong performance from voice actor Roger Clark, he manages to hit all of the emotional beats the narrative designers wanted while also being believably malleable when it comes to how we choose to act as players. Whoever we end up controlling in the next GTA caper will have a lot to live up to.
That's very kind of you.
We saw a bit of this in GTA 5, particularly in the finale to the single-player story, but Red Dead 2 offers us an unprecedented amount of choice in a Rockstar title. Seeing our choices, whether it's to act a certain way towards NPCs or to accept certain missions over others, have tangible effects on Arthur's story and state of mind was a great addition to the Rockstar formula. It's hopefully one that they'll replicate when we get off of our horses and into a probably stolen sports car.
I'll see what I can do.
No matter how you choose to play, throughout every inch of Red Dead 2 you can feel Rockstar's guiding hand, to mix success depending on who you ask. The most divisive aspect seems to be how its gameplay is paced. When Arthur heads into a general store to flip through a catalog or returns to camp and refuses to move faster than a hurried mosey, it feels like Rockstar is stopping the action to say, "Look at what we've made for you. You'll miss something if you go too fast." And while 99% of the time I will choose to amble through slowly on my own, sometimes I just need to run to my tent, grab some dynamite, and get the f*** out. Don't get me wrong, the level of detail that Rockstar has worked so hard to achieve deserves to have due attention paid, but it feels strange to have a game that gives me so much freedom throughout its world be simultaneously restrictive in such specific ways.
Ow! Ow! Me and the guys, we'd go down to the diner after class every day.
Similarly, Rockstar seems to have a habit of trying to turn what could be interesting character conversations into long travel sequences.
I'm trying to relate to you.
I'll be forever grateful if I never have to drive several real-life minutes to a mission objective while two characters exposition all over one another ever again.
Game-playing, live-at-home world owes him a living millennial.
Wow, you boys been off fishing or playing lawman or whatever the hell you've been doing.
But it detracts from what should be important character moments. True, the cinematic view combined with an auto-ride makes this experience worlds better than it's been in previous games, but it's an inelegant solution to making an effective cutscene feel more lived through for the player. It's a valid design concern to balance a player's engagement with the story as it unfolds. The team has worked so hard to breathe life into these characters and their story, it feels almost unfair not to give those moments the space to land.
But I got a notion these fellers is...
There's been a lot of speculation as to where GTA 6 might take place, whether we'll go down to Vice City or up to northern San Andreas to explore the San Fierro Bay Area. But Red Dead 2 took us someplace we hadn't seen yet, and its gorgeous depiction of the American Southeast showed us that unfamiliar and unusual territory can be far more interesting than slapping a new coat of textures on someplace we've already been. Maybe they could take a further cue from Red Dead 2 and let us explore the modern world of rural America, like the Rust Belt or struggling cities like Detroit or St. Louis. Regardless of where we end up in the next Grand Theft Auto, one of the most important cues that it needs to take from its Old West brethren is this: keep your satire subtle. Well, maybe not too subtle, but we don't need to be beaten over the head with it either. There was a lot I loved in the single-player story of GTA 5, but hardly any of it came from the jokes lampooning real-world quantities. Whether it was calling Facebook Life Invader or the molested death screens in the fictional Right to Slaughter video games, these more overt parodies felt ham-fisted and pulled a lot of focus from the game's sharper commentary on our modern culture of consumerism. Red Dead 2 benefits from its setting being so far removed from our own world, and as a result, its comedy comes largely from the relationships between its characters. I'm not saying that there's no place for parody in GTA 6, but the writing team has proven that they're able to write effective comedic dialogue that stands toe-to-toe with their unique cultural commentary, even on Red Dead 2's more sensitive topics without resorting entirely to witless ridicule.
I ain't never been in a protest march before, madam.
Rockstar games, especially the GTA series, have always been destructive playgrounds where we're free to break whatever rules we want so long as we have enough ammo to fend off the cops who inevitably show up to try and spoil our good time. While this is still somewhat true in Red Dead Redemption 2, the ever-present threat of a run-in with the law carries a lot more weight than it did in the original, or any of the recent Grand Theft Autos for that matter. But I really appreciate that Red Dead 2 made me actively want to avoid conflict with the police, not to preserve just my freedom, but my reputation. I know that it might kill a bit of the power fantasy of outlaw life for some, but a crime story where I have to actively be aware of the impact of my actions on the world is much more interesting to me than just rocket launching everything until I die. Lastly, I want them to make me uncomfortable. Not like by making me torture someone with pliers and car batteries when they clearly don't deserve it, but rather aim to make me feel guilt or shame or pity for your characters. Without going too far into detail so as not to spoil anything, there are moments in Red Dead 2, especially towards the end, that I felt genuinely uncomfortable playing through because I know how the story would end for these characters.
Why are you so interested in my life?
That sense of gut-wrenching angst was something that I won't forget anytime soon, and I'd be interested to see Rockstar try to foster that sense of emotional unease with characters that I haven't met yet. Obviously, we've got a long time to wait until we see how GTA 6 stacks up in the pantheon of Rockstar titles, but I'd be surprised if they didn't try to one-up themselves yet again. What do you think? What can Rockstar learn from Red Dead that will make the next Grand Theft Auto their best game yet? Let us know in the comments below, and for more on the discussion around Red Dead Redemption 2, check out 13 Things That We Loved versus 8 Things We Didn't, or our favorite stories from our time out on the trail. For all your other grand horse thieving needs, you're already in the right place here at IGN.